Hello, and what's this week's Devil in Detail podcast? I'm Rob Parkinson, and I'm here talking all things Salford Red Devils. Paul Whiteside is keeping the economy going, keeping Britain warm. But I'm now joined by Paul Parkin. I was off last week, Parker, on my holidays and a bit of illness. You and Paul kept the boat afloat. And how was it?
Yeah, it was a bit. It was okay. It was a bit different. Obviously, we flew through things and we did it. We did it over the phone. There's no video, no posh microphones or anything like that. It was just sort of off the cuff, really. When we managed to fit it in, I think we both had crazy weeks, so it was a bit. Yeah, but I don't think you've been on for 2-3 weeks now. It's
Yeah.
been a while. So yeah, it's good to be back. Shane Paul can't be here, but looking how the weather's gone out there, it's not surprising he's fixing boilers till whatever time because it's whatever summer we almost had has seemed to have vanished within a day. Um, and it's absolutely, if he's not bouncing down, that wind's just freezing you. So, yeah, no, it's good to be back. It's good to be doing it all as normal. And, again, on the back of a good week.
Big win as well against Catalan Dragons. We'll be talking about that. We'll have all the big news coming out of the club this week. 13 years since we left the Willows, Parker. So we'll have a brief recap on the big memories of playing at the Willows, and we'll look forward to our games this weekend as our ladies are away against the Sheffield Eagles in the playoffs, and Paul Rowley's men are in Humberside to play Hull. So two big games there, Parker.
Yeah, very much so. Both very, very important for both teams in different ways. One has already achieved, one's already achieved playoff status, and the other one, well, still on a knife edge. I mean, I think it's great for rugby league, by the way, that it is a bit like it is tight. It's not nobody, nothing's settled 3-4 weeks before the end of the season because it makes everything pointless. But it's going to be nerve wracking. It really is for both the men and the ladies. So yeah, like I say, a big week.
Yeah, and we've also got Parker's picks. We're going to speak to Colin O'Dell, who is the Cop head coach, and also the coach of the Souths, who take on the North in the USA All-Star game this weekend. So we're going to talk about the preparations there, and also talk to assistant coach Christian Inu, head of the big game against Hull. So lots to get at this week. So we're going to start with the victory against Catalan Dragons. So Salford Devils were victorious against Catalan Dragons last week at the Salford Community Stadium. They won 27 points to 12. Parker tries from JJ Nicarima, Dion Cross, Tim Laffey and Joe Mellor. 5 goals from Mark Sneed and a drop goal from the man himself puts Paul Rowley's men's fourth.
Yeah, a magnificent performance. I've got to say, I thought we were, early on in that first sort of, I don't think we touched the ball for the first 7 minutes or something, and we looked a bit, we were under a lot of pressure, but we defended just unbelievably. And I think to the extent that Catalan thought when they got that penalty, we'll have to take the 2. And if you were a player, if you're a Salford player at that point, you're patting yourself on the back going, hang on a minute, these don't know how to get round us. They've just had the ball for 7 minutes, like I say, and couldn't break us down. They got a couple of, I'll go on to this in a bit, but they certainly got a couple of iffy decisions early on that went their way to keep giving them the ball. But anyway, the lads were brilliant, absolutely fantastic. The game, for me, I really enjoyed it. I don't know what some game, especially in such a nervous game. I mean, it was a big decider, really. If we'd have lost that, we'd have been in real trouble for the playoffs. So I enjoyed. I loved the way we played. I loved everything about it, and it was a big physical game. It was one of them games that would prepare you for a playoff because they came at us strong. Their forwards are massive, and we handled them really well. And I think Paul Rowley once again just got his tactics spot on. He sent the boys out there with a plan, and they stuck to it. And yeah, I was delighted at the end of the game. I think it's one of those performances in the season that makes you go, yeah, we're actually pretty good, aren't we?
Yeah, it was controlled, it was measured, it was calculated, it was cool, and that's what you want. I think in the playoff situation where, for me, it's a warm up for the playoffs. Catalans are going to be there and thereabouts. It's a performance that had to be made. I think, obviously, like you said, pretty nervous. Catalan are a big forward pack, and then when you look at the stats, which we're going to talk about later, Parker, they had the majority of them. So for us to come out on on top shows how good our game management was, which is really important in playoff situations, that you are able to manage your game out.
Yeah, it's about grinding a win. You're not going to blow teams away generally in the playoffs. It's not that easy. And there is a chance, even now, that we could still play Catalan in the playoffs. So it's a marker put down in that, that they've got to go away and think about how you would play against Salford. There's a chance that, because I think they've got London and Hull for the last 2 games, so they could quite easily win both of them. And, it only takes Saints or Leeds or whoever to have a bad couple of games, which is easily capable of, and who knows? So, I think, and if they had to come back here, would they be like, I don't fancy this, because we know what Salford are like? But overall, I just thought that the whole team were fantastic. It's not, for me, Mark Sneed was absolute, just at his best. He did everything that Mark Sneed does. He's doing Mark Sneed things, but the whole team, I couldn't pick a player that I went, yeah, he was good. Oh no, because the whole team just did what they had to do. The lads from the sort of fullback and the wingers bringing the ball back, getting us back up the pitch. I think they looked a lot livelier than they have done at times this season. And that's not me having a dig. I just thought it was a step up again, and it looked like we were building to this crescendo that we're at now at the end of the season. There's some brilliant performances, and I thought our forwards deserved a massive pat on the back. They got criticised at Hull KR. And rightly, I'm not going to take anything away. We were well beaten in the pack at Rovers, and this week they stood up. They really give it to. I mean, like I say, their pack. They were bringing lads on from the bench, and I was like, oh, God, not another one. How do you feel when you're there doing it? But they did the tough stuff, and it was a great performance.
Yeah, so just quickly run through the timeline. Like you said, Catalan Dragons sat on our line for the first 6 minutes, only come away with a 2-point penalty. We hit back with a try from Jaden Nikarima, high kick, Catalan collision. Joe Mellor and Ryan Briley linked up. Nikarima goes under the post, so for lead 6-2.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic, I think, if that's the right way of saying irony, that he would score that try against the team that sacked him a few weeks back. I'm sure he was absolutely delighted with that. He looked it, but he always does. He's always got a smile on his face anyway. Thought he had a great game, Nikarima, by the way. I thought even in defence he was strong, because, again, at Hull KR, he looked a little bit off it in defence. Mikey Lewis made him look a bit silly at one point, and again bounced back this week. It came off that kick from Mark Sneed. What you don't see on the TV is how it was gusty and it was blowing in our faces. So the ball went up and started to come back. So I don't think either Catalan player knew what was going on, and it reminded me of an incident in the I think it was the 87 or 88 Challenge Cup semi-final when we played Wigan, and 2 of our players did exactly the same thing in a semi, and Wigan went on and scored off it. I just, when it happens, you laugh, but you think, how has that happened? But the ball was kind of moving, so it made it difficult for him. But but then the presence of mind, again, it's happened a few times this year where we just play to the whistle. And Joe Mellor, who's been just outstanding, absolutely outstanding, another player who's all season has amazed me. I think he's been superb. Was on hand, and like you say, we just got the ball out, and Nikarima just strolling under the posts.
Yeah, very good play from Nikarima. I thought he had a great game, to be fair. Solid in defence. Attacking prowess as well. I think he's showing us, what he's got in the tank, which is, a great foil for Mark Sneed.
Absolutely. I think that's the key now. He is very different to Mark Sneed, and that's what we needed. No point, I'm not knocking, Chris Atkin playing there. He's more of a scrum half than a standoff. They're both quite similar. Even Cust, for me, was a bit in the same mould as a Sneed. He's not the kind of player that's going to take a line on or do anything like that. He's just going to play it along, and I think now it's going to take a bit of pressure off Sneeder.
Yeah, so Catalan scored the first try of the game for them. Asa Moore, full length of the field effort, came from kick. Gil Dudson kind of pulled out of the challenge, where really, if it had just blown on him, the foot would have fell over, but he missed him, and then off the back of that went 80 metres. Good finish though by Moore, kind of just about managed to get over the line, and Catalan were back in it at 6 apiece.
Yeah, I feel for Gil there, actually. I think because what he's seen is their player was fumbling with the ball, and I think he's thought, he's lost this. I don't need to hit him. I don't need to give anything away. Don't commit, because if I take him and it's off the ball or something like that, and I think he's in two minds. But if we, again, what I will say is if we'd have all gone up at that pace and all been in his face, he would have dropped the ball. But one man was there. And then once he's gone round here, they've created a gap. It was a good try, by the way. I mean, it's what you do when you get open field. But yeah, I could see what Gill was trying there, and it just didn't work. But yeah, good try, and full credit to them.
Yeah, so seesaw battle just for half time. Joe Mello with a bit of magic underneath the post, shimmies, beats the tiring Catalan Dragons line, goes under the post, and Salford go in at half time up 12-6.
Yeah, I was sat with my niece at the time, and I said we need to try before half time here. Because I think I could see the tide sort of turning. I know we didn't have a lot of ball, a lot of territory, but I could tell that they were struggling a little bit, I think, to get out of their half, to get away, to get a bit of momentum. And I thought if we could just score it might break them a little bit. And Joe Mellor, that little jink, like you say, that step, just everyone went the opposite way. It was brilliant, great thinking. He's such a threat from acting half. For someone who's not been a hooker all, throughout his career, he plays it really well. He's a real threat for us. He does it every single week. He picks up, he takes a run, catches people. If you're slow at marker, he'll catch you out. So, yeah, great try. I'm delighted for him because, like I say, I think he's been brilliant. And as I said a few times on this, on the podcast, that, I was wrong. I was wondering why we signed him at the start of the year. I didn't know what we were going to do with him. It's proved that, again, Paul Rowley just knows what he's doing.
It's a moment in it. It's someone who is able to deliver a moment, which turns the game, as it turns the season. Isn't a household name. Like you say, when he first came, we were all a bit like, might just be one for the squad. He's making a big difference every week. He makes an impact coming off the bench or whatever. And that's what you want. You want players who are able to do that. Great player, great signing, great try. Second half starts. For me, watching the game back, right, it seemed to me that Steve McNamara said to the Catalan Dragons players, you've got 40 minutes to save the season. And they came out that first 10 minutes like they just panicked, throwing the ball about, dropping the ball. We didn't help. We dropped a bit of ball as well. But it wasn't the greatest sort of situation to be in there for them. Because obviously they weren't too far behind.
No.
Panic sets in for them. And I think we reacted better in that, what they call it, like a blind war pog, we'll call it. We came out of that 10 minutes better than they did, and that's why we ended up winning the game, because we were more controlled in that second half.
Yeah, you could have a point. I think obviously he's gone in at our time, and I think for me, what I found with Catalan, especially when they had that opening sort of salvo, was that they were a bit cautious, they just wanted to try and drive over the line. They weren't really taking us on. They weren't challenging us out wide or anything like that, or trying to, I don't know. They just seemed a bit flat. And I think you might have said to him at half time, we've got to be more adventurous to score here. And they've gone for it. And Rolls would have probably said at half time, look, keep doing what you're doing. You've already weathered one storm. We can do it again. Get through the first 10 minutes and we'll be all right. If we keep them out, we'll be fine. And once again, we did it. But I think what we'll say is our defence was tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. 2 or 3 men in every tackle, making them feel it. And like I say, with them big men, they could have made more meters than they probably did. So I think, again, I know what you're saying. I think Catalan they had to do something. They had to try something to get back in the game, but they weren't. There was only 6 points. They could have ground it out a little bit more. I think Paul Rowley made the point. They've been in 2 grand finals. They know how to be inside finals, and they don't concede many. All right, they don't score many, but at the same point, I think they could have been a bit more patient. But maybe the jitters were put up on a bit and thought, if we don't turn this round, this is it. We're out. So, yeah, you've probably got a point there, and maybe given their time again, they'd probably just be a bit more cautious.
Yeah. So that 10 minutes, our game management kicked in. Wonderful 40-20 kick by Mark Sneed. Off the back of that, try from Tim Laffey, lovely hands from Ryan Briley, and Laffey goes over. 18-6 Salford.
Yeah, I mean, that 40-20, I say that wind as well that you couldn't really see on the telly or anything like that was strong. He wasn't actually strong in the second half. The ground seemed to warm up and all, which was odd. But maybe it was that halftime sausage roll I got. But as soon as he hits it, you just thought, that's going. No one's getting near that. He's so perfect. I mean, obviously he'll know the ground, but the way he does it is superb. And that's that momentum again, like you said, Joe Mellor. It's that it turns games. That moment has turned that game because obviously, like I said, we've gone up and scored, increased that lead, and they're going, well, what now? So. But yeah, like I said, the ball from Ryan Brierley coming into the line, we've not seen it enough this year for me from Ryan. I know he's had injuries; he's not been, fully fit or anything like that, and he missed. I think he missed the Rovers game because he had some bug, some virus or something. So to come back and do that, it was it was good. It was a great try, and to see the team celebration as well as he went over. It was that kind of. I think it was a relief there as well that this is what we can do, and it was one of them tries that's Salford. It's what we became used to for a couple of years. We've probably not reached them heights this year that often, but the way we move the ball and teams just go, well, you're not going to stop Tim Laffey from there doing that. He's strong. His handoff's unbelievable, a bit like Chrissy Wellham back in a couple of years ago. So yeah, brilliant try, but all from the mastery of Mark Sneyd again.
Yeah. Paul Rowley often says, control the controllables.
Yeah.
And Mark Sneyd is that man. He's ice cold, whether he's dropping goals to win games or kicking 40-20s to try and get territory or turn matches. That is why he is a contender to be Man of Steel, because he plays, it's like the Matrix in it. He just has that extra yard everyone else doesn't have in his head or with his feet when he kicks it. He just knows what needs to be done without looking like he's rushed. Because I think that's half the problem sometimes when you want to do things, people panic, and it's the anxiety that stops them from doing what they need to do because they want to take that extra touch or they want to sort of feel the extra ball, the ball that extra little bit before they give it. Well, Mark Sneyd doesn't worry about that. He just drifts. He just knows what he has to do. Yeah. And it's like you say, it's like he's playing in the Matrix, isn't he, really?
Yeah, he sees a game, he sees a picture in his head all the time of what the next move is. He's like a chess player or a snooker player thinking shots ahead, really. And then he's got this, he seems to slow down time when he gets the ball. He, like you said, he doesn't rush. He doesn't need to rush. And sometimes you do because someone's going to clatter him. But he's just got this, he seems to have this extra moment where he thinks, even though he knows what he wants to do, is it right now? Is this the moment to do this? And he's just got that. You can tell it's years of experience to get to that level, but he's such a calming influence on the whole team. No, you don't have to panic when you've got him there. And again, go back. It can be that one kick that'll change a whole game from him, and he's got it on him. So while he's on the park, you're always in a game.
Yeah. So Mark Sneyd kicks a penalty shortly after, makes it 26, and then Dion Cross goes over in the corner. Lovely hands, Tim Laffey sends it crossover, and Salford are 26-6 up with 25 to go.
Yeah, again, I mean, that ball from Laffey is, how many times have we seen it? I mean, Joey Burgess used to get on the end of it, didn't it? It was his little thing, but and the celebration again from Cross, running behind the sticks with his hand. I've never seen him be that animated. He's not that kind of character. So I think it's shown what it meant to him and the team, and for that to come off, that little ball from Tim Laffey was, he's had a few up and down weeks recently, Tim. I know he's had injuries and everything, and it's been a bit difficult. But that's Tim Laffey. That's just genius what he can do. And again, I think at that point, I think Catalan were thinking that they could still get. The gap wasn't that big. They still had a chance. As soon as that's done, he's gone over, and that's it. It's game over. There's no way they're coming back from that. I don't care what they say. And what I will say about Catalan is their discipline is awful. Absolutely. And I don't mean getting caught offside or lying on the play the ball and having your hand in, something like that. I mean, physically, it's awful. There was so many. I watched it back yesterday for the first time. So many incidents I saw where I thought the referee should have picked him up on that. Should have picked it. There was, every now and then there was a leading elbow or there was something going on in the tackle. And you're thinking, we can't get away with, any cannot be straight at marker. So how are they getting away with this? And then I think there was 2 or 3 times with head tackles that were, in this day and age, you're going to get pinged for it. I mean, none of them went off the park, which was equally bizarre, considering what I'd seen in the afternoon with the Warrington game, where a player got sent to the sim, in fact, tapping somebody on the back. You're thinking, well, what game are we watching here? I think Liam Moore seemed very reluctant to get rid of any Catalan players this week. And there were certainly 2 incidents in that game where I think any other ref in any other game gives yellow cards out. The one just before half time, I think, on Ethan Ryan was a shot that it's as bad as you'll see most of the year. and it was just a penalty, and you're kind of like, whoa, hang on, this isn't right. We've got to play consistently. I don't like it. I don't like men being sent off every 2 minutes and yellow carded. That's not what I want. But if they're the rules we're playing to, and the referee has to stick to that, and he didn't on Saturday, and that annoyed me a little bit. But so I think Catalan got away a bit because they could have, they could have been down to 12 men a couple of times, and it would have made it a lot worse for them.
Yeah, I think Paul said to Paul Rowley that it was a bit of a sort of a throwback to previous years of the way he's refereed, and we've talked about it, haven't you? This season about referees being too keen to give a yellow card, which then affects the game. So can we really say, don't give it him? Give it him because he's given a real dodgy foul there, but then moan about it when he doesn't give it him. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I know you want a mix, but we want. I don't think you can have the mix halfway through the season. You have to stay where you are beginning. So then you have something to reference. When I think this time, the standard of what referees deem a foul play, yellow card, red card, offence, has kind of gone from being really strict. It kind of drifted back towards what it could be. So I'd rather next season, instead of going in hard early and saying, right, anyone who looks at anyone funny gets put in the bin.
Yeah.
And then it slowly drifts as people moan and coaches get a bit angry because they keep losing players and not winning games because people get put in sin bins and get sent off. And obviously referees then start talking to each other and say, well, we won't penalise them for that. We'll just let them go. So then those fans moan because at the beginning of the season we were getting penalised for everything, and now it's everything's let go. If you know what I mean? So we've got to be consistent no matter what the rules are. If we don't like them or not, it's kind of irrelevant, and that's what frustrates me more and frustrates so many fans. That 1 week it's something, 1 week it's not, and even in that same day, from the middle of the afternoon from the Warrington Saints game to our game a couple of hours later, the rules were different. Yeah.
Now, all I will say, Rob, and I know what you'll say back, but I will say if any Salford player had put in a couple of them challenges, he would have been in the bin. If that had been Brad Singleton or Gil Dudson doing something like that, you're going for 10 minutes at least. So I just want it to be fair, that's all. And I must admit, I'm not Liam Moore's biggest fan. I think he's possibly the poorest of them all. And that's from me, so that's how bad I think he is. I would rather have Chris Kendall. Maybe not Jack Smith. But anyway, he's just... It's the inconsistency. If there's no yellow cards last week in our game for what they were, then I wouldn't expect any most weeks. And that's why I'd love it. I'd love 13 against 13. That's what you pay your money for. But let's just have a level playing field and get it right. And I agree. Let's get away from this. Anyone who makes contact with the head. If it's an accident, it's an accident. You can't. It's a contact sport. It's happening at speeds that you wouldn't believe. You've got to make a decision. A player changes, steps in front of you. What are you going to do? This where you've hit him with a shoulder. Well, I'm going to tackle him with my shoulder. But just because he's ducking down and I've hit him, I can't do anything about that. It's not my fault. He's done that. You're going off for 10 minutes. We don't want any of that. But if they're the rules, they're the rules. So, let's just get it right. I'm not, like I say, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see yellow cards, but if that's the rule we're playing to, let's do it.
Paul Parkin, real life time traveller, seeing things that never happened.
Yeah.
So Catalan go next. Then it's a bit of an arm wrestle for the next 15 minutes. Talking about referee decisions, Ethan Ryan gets disallowed. I know it's your case in point, but the thing is, I think the maddest thing is, you go through the whole process, right? And to me, it might look like he knocks on the ground, possibly. There's a possibility there, right? Which is 50-50 for me. But the video referee goes past that. He lets the video run. He sees the grounding. He looks at it and then disallows the try. So if you're going to disallow the try, why go through the whole rest of the process?
I think there was a miscommunication. I really do. He says at one point he didn't have enough evidence, or there was enough evidence to turn the decision round. He basically says that he thinks, well, I can't see enough there. It says it's not a try, so you've got no try. But I think it's a try. He carries it on, we score, and then he goes to the screen. You see all the players looking at the screen, all the fans are sat around going, try, well done. Yeah. And he goes, no try. And I think something's gone wrong there that they'd never own up to, obviously. But I've watched it back. I watched it yesterday, and I've watched it highlights at the weekend as well. I still don't think it's a knock on from Joe Mellor. I don't see where he's knocked it on. But like you say, even then you could just go straight away. He's given no try. There's a bit of doubt. No try. Don't waste 5 minutes getting the crowd but worked up, and then run it on and show him grounding the ball. That's giving a try. That's what that is. And then say no try. You're like, well, what? But you heard the commentators on the BBC when what they say when I watched it back, and even they were like, well, that's confused me. That's got me. What's happened there?
Can you imagine the meltdown if that was a grand final and it was like the crucial score, and everyone's like eating the nail so much they're onto like the wrists, and then you go through to they've gone through the potential knock-on bit. We're going to look at the grounding. You're thinking we're going to win the grand final. Everyone sets off, and then suddenly no try. Can you imagine? I'd have to be sick in a bucket there. That's what a bucket sick into.
I think somebody would need protection getting out of the ground. I think that's what happened. But then on Friday night, I watched the Wigan game against Hull KR. Great game, that, by the way. Brilliant game of rugby league. And Miski scores in the corner for Wigan. Now, straight away, the referee goes try. Right? Okay, he's committed. He said try, but I've got to send it up. The video ref takes one look at something he's in the air. He's going out of play. There's defenders in the way. You don't really see it go out. There's a little bit of doubt about it. Straight away goes try. He doesn't take 5 minutes looking at it. He just went try. You're going, well, so what happened on Saturday then? Why did it take you 10 minutes to make a decision that it was wrong? I just don't get it. But anyway, yeah, it was bizarre. And you saw the reaction of Ethan Ryan's face when it came up on the screen, like as if saying, hey, have you just watched that with me?
Yeah.
So, but that's what happened. Unfortunately, it didn't matter. And it would be nice to increase the score because, just would have been. But, it killed the game for us then at that point.
Yeah, we were both watching that Wigan game, weren't we, on Friday?
Yeah.
Little watch-along on the old WhatsApp.
Yeah.
You made an interesting point about the Wigan forward coming on.
Yeah. Patrick Mago.
Mago. Making a big impact. Yeah. And we talked about, we possibly need a forward like that. Joe Bullock had a good game.
Brilliant.
And, I looked at his statistics on Wikipedia, and he's not quite far off Magu in size and weight. So maybe Paul Rowley is kind of experimenting and whether Bullock can fit in his system, which means basically maybe Bullock plus another one next season.
I think Bullock's more of he's not just going to play 20 minutes, Joe Bullock. That's the thing. And I think realistic in an ideal world, you'd have him starting. I think that'd be the key for me. If he's staying, we've got no idea. He's only on loan, so we don't even know if he's staying. But it's a body shape thing as well to give you something else. He's very hard to tackle, Mago, as is Sue at Hull KR and people like that. They're a different size. And I'm not saying let's go back to Neil Baines or Gareth Haggerty or Feka Palliasina. I'm not going that way. But there are these big sort of South Sea Islanders that are built differently. Do you know what I mean? They're muscular, but they're a bit more rotund, should we say? I don't know. And that 20 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever he was on won the game for Wigan. He got man of the match. He'd hardly played, but it gives you that plan B that we don't really have. Now, I know it's difficult. You're not going to find these players everywhere. We can't find a prop most of the time. So, yeah, I understand the difficulty. Not every team's got one. But Leeds have got, Lissone or something to bring on from a devastating runner who might only do 10, 15 minutes, but he'll turn the game because he'll get you on the front foot. A quick play the ball, and times can change. We've struggled a lot this year, in the last few years, to get out of our half at times because we haven't got a big man or we don't make, and we just need that momentum shifter again, that one player. And it doesn't have to be in the team every week. Horses for courses for me. Catalan, big pack. We need somebody. This week against Hull FC might be different. They've still got a lot of big players, but there are a lot of younger players, and you might not need the same kind of player, and they'll play a different style. So But I'd love to see us grab a forward like that. I don't know if they're out there. I don't know what money they cost. You know, they must be at a premium, so that's an issue. But then if that's not Paul Rowley's way, if he doesn't want that, I'm not going to argue with him. So fine, yeah. But it was just a point that I was making a few weeks ago about getting a big prop for us, and then Mago made my point, I think, perfectly for me the other night.
Yeah. I just think with Bullock, he's looking at the system and he's thinking, can a player of that build work in my system? And I think it shows he can. Whether he turns into a Mago and he's on for 20 minutes destroying people, or whether he's going to be consistent like Bullock is. And it's more about how he works in the system rather than what he does for me.
Yeah,
I think that's what Paul Rowley is kind of doing, bringing Bullock in to see, I might need a bigger unit off forward, but can my system work with a bigger forward in it? And it seems like it is at the moment. So
yeah,
good stuff. Stats wise, Parker.
Yep.
Team stats. We completed. It says at 102%. So we were completing sets we didn't start. They completed 84%. Meters made. We made 1,084. They made 1,130. Tackle bursts for us, 18. Tackle bursts for them, 25. Dummy half runs, 13 for us, 4 for them. Which I think's quite a big thing. Tiring their big forwards out. Kicks, 642 for us, 553 for them. I think that's meters made. Errors, 9 for us, 8 for them. And missed tackles, 25 for us, 18 for them.
I'm surprised at that.
That they had the better of the stats, but we won the game.
Especially
it shows for me that game management side was important. They tackled the Kajunas off, worked hard, and still won the game.
Surprised by the errors. It seemed to me that they made a lot more than we did, but clearly not. If that's what the stats say. And the reason we probably missed more tackles was because we had to make more tackles.
Yeah.
So as a percentage, it's probably not that bad. We probably actually did, as a percentage, less missed tackles than they did. But it just shows how hard we really had to work to get through that. And that, like you say, you think about the opening 5-7 minutes. How many tackles did we put in then? 4, 5, 6 sets that they didn't have to do. So you're going to miss a couple when it gets like that. But And what we'll say is we lost Stone very early on as well, who's one of them tackling machines as well. So difficult to replace. The Hankinson came on for him. Who I think we all love Chris Hankinson. I think he's a great player, so versatile. But he's not a second rower. He doesn't do that kind of job. But he came in and covered. But I think Stone was a big miss at times in defence. But again, just shows what effort everybody else put in.
Yeah, fantastic effort from everyone. Individual stats. Top tacklers, Callum Watkins, 33. Oliver Partington, 47. Shane Wright, 24. Chris Atkinson, 25. Joe Mellor, 42. Gil Dodson, 25.
Wow, Joe Mellor. And you mentioned the dummy runs from acting half, sorry, and then the tackling as well. I mean, that's some effort. That is some for a guy who's in his, he's not in his prime really, is he? He's in his 30s. He's not a big lad. That's tremendous. I didn't realise that. Obviously, Ollie Partington, we know he's going to be top of the tackling. We know he is. That's what he does. That's why I say he's going to be a massive loss for us because somebody's got to pick that mantle up, and I don't know what players are out there that can do that. And then Cal Watkins again. I watched it, like I say, I watched it back yesterday, and I watched Cal. He's just in everything. He doesn't stop. I don't know where he gets his energy from. So yeah, brilliant. I mean, it's just short of them 30 odd and 40 odd tackles. And they played most of the game. I mean, I don't think Cal Watkins ever comes off, but that's tremendous. Really, really, really good.
Yeah, top meter makers. Nenny McDonald, 126. Dion Cross, 149. Callum Watkins, 71. Shane Wright, 70. Joe Bullock, 112.
Yeah, Joe is. I said to a few people, I thought Joe was tremendous when he came off the bench. Again, he did have a kind of effect of a game changer, if you like, in that way, because he was the one that was taking 3 or 4 men, still going forward, landing on his front, getting the play the ball for Joe Mellor to do what he does, or just get us in that quick sort of play the ball cycle. Yeah, I thought he was brilliant, Joe Bullock, and I think if he hasn't already, he could well have played his way into Paul Rowley's thinking for 2025. We don't know what's going on there. Warrington may want him back. I don't know, but if not, he's certainly done enough in the games that he's played for me to earn a contract with us, no problem. So yeah, brilliant. And again, you mentioned Callum Watkins in there and in the attack, defence, leadership. He's just got a lot on him. But yeah, brilliant, great stats really. A few in the hundreds there as well. Considering, like you say, we didn't have that much ball, that much territory at times. But yeah, some good meters there.
Average gains: Nenny McDonald 7, Dion Cross 11, Callum Watkins 8, Joel Bullock 9.
Brilliant. I mean, Dion Cross 11. I know it's easier when you're picking the ball. It might have a bit of distance, but I thought he did. Watching it back, I thought he did run the ball in really well, ran with pace, and that's what I was saying about the back three. Really, and certainly the two wingers seemed a bit more lively when they got the ball. It was like, let's go, let's get them. Try and turn them as quick as we can, rather than just catching it and plodding in a straight line to make it easier for him. But yeah, no, great stats considering, like I say, we didn't really have that much of the ball.
Yeah. Big thanks for your 3-word man of the match reports. Andy at Lancashire, tough defence, Sneed. Colin Wilson, well-deserved win, Sneed. Stuart Smart, solid in defence, Nicarima. Paul Whiteside, back in business, Joe Mellor. Andy Smith, Mark Sneed, masterclass, Sneed. Natalie Taylor, daring to dream, Sneed. Richard Martin is back on, Mellor. Anita, playoffs home tie, cross fingers, cross. Dave Parker, moving on up, Sneed. Matt, another solid performance, Mellor. I said, control the controllables, Mellor. Asif, disciplined, focused, resilient, Mellor. Lawrence, Salford played great. Jeff Whitlow, solid team performance, Sneed. And Adam Siddall, outstanding performance, lads, Sneed. So, Mark Sneed, picking up a few man of the match reports there. But yeah, I agree with all them. Momentum is back in our favour. Was a big game. Nerves were a bit jangling a little bit, but as soon as the game started, we were in total control and full deserved the win.
Yeah, and going into that weekend, we could have been 4th or as low as 8th. That's it's drastic at the moment. That's how tight it is. And to come through that one, our last home game, again, that record we've had at home this year has been something outstanding. 2 defeats all year, both to Wigan, who I still think will be champions. And one of them was our own shot in the foot kind of moment. But yeah, I think we've just been brilliant at home, haven't we? Really, and that's why it's so important for us to get a home tie in the playoffs, because I don't think teams are going to enjoy coming here. So it's vital now we carry on in the way we have done in the last few weeks. But yeah, a great win with all the pressure that went with it. I think it just shows that we can handle it. We can handle them big moments.
Yeah. So that's a look back at the Catalan win, and now we'll look back at all the big news that come out of the club this week. So the club announced Parker departures for the 2024 season. Amir Burrow, Gil Dudson, Kate Cust, Andrew Dixon, Adam Sidlow, Oliver Partington, all will depart 2024. I'd like to thank them all for the service in the red shirt. They've all been very good in their own way. And yeah, obviously there is 6 names there. Paul Rowley will obviously be looking to replace them. But yeah, they will be missed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of them, obviously, a couple of them have only been here short period. Cust, obviously, only here for 1 year. Amir Burrow's only been here a couple. We know that Adam Sidlow just, I don't know what kind of happened in his last couple of years with us, but previous to that, and even when he has had to fill in, he's done his job. He's been with us for a very long time, on and off. Andy Dixon. Surprised he didn't see more of him this year, actually, because I thought in the games he has played, he's been really, really good. But obviously, the body gets older, and there might be other commitments away from rugby league that have, maybe kept him away. For me, Gil Dudson was a masterstroke bringing him in on loan again. It doesn't always work when you go back to the club you've been at and you've had success at. But I think Gil, the reception he got on Saturday when he came off, the crowd was singing his name. He's just been, even though he's getting on a bit now, he's giving everything again for the cause. And obviously, we'll never forget, 2019 season and probably 2020. Was he still with us at the cup final? I think he was.
Yeah.
But, them years of success we had, he was a big part of that. Him and Moose. So yeah, that's really good. So yeah, it's a shame to see players go sometimes. You want to stay around, but the one for me is Ollie Partington. I think he's going to be a real hole to fill. Now, I've got no doubt that Paul Rowley knows what he's doing. We've got players there that could probably fill in, but he's probably on the lookout anyway, or maybe have already tied up the next Ollie Partington. But I really enjoyed watching him. I think he's a real workhorse, and I think he's got more to come. I think he'll get better, and hopefully, he doesn't like the south of France, the sun and the sea. The weather, the money he's on, anything like that. Might want to just come back. You never know. Might give it 6 months and come back. And I'd certainly welcome him with open arms. I think he's been a tremendous signing for us, and a shame we've not seen more of him in terms of another couple of years.
Yeah, I think Andrew Dixon, Adam Sidlow, obviously more behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like I said, they haven't played much, but they set standards. They're all the professionals. They've been under Paul Rowley's wing for a while, so their behaviour probably is what Paul Rowley wants in his squad. So they were very useful, I suspect, in building that. Like you say, Gil Hudson, what a servant he's been, going to Oldham, I think, in the Championship, which is great for him. Partington, like you say, will be a big loss. But Rowley ball has to evolve, and we have to evolve without him. We talk about him regularly on this podcast, making 40, 50, 40, late 40s, early 50 tackles every week. Somebody will have to come in and do that, or other people will have to do 3-4 more tackles than they're doing now. And that is the bottom line, because we can't take Oliver Partington out of that team with what he brings to the team, with his defence and his offence, and expect us to function the same way.
Yeah.
Well, that's Paul Rowley's job to look around the market, look around who's available, and find somebody of similar ilk who will do the same job or do a different job and take us to a different level. And that is what he's there for. And I'm confident he will do that because he has this ability to find players and turn them into a player at another level. Joe Miller, for example.
Yeah.
So the form in this particular area of picking players up who no one knows about and turning them into genuine stars is very good. So I don't see that form breaking next season.
No, I agree. I think we've we always got the right man there to pick up somebody. And I think now the other thing is that players will want to play for Salford. They will want to come. Obviously stadium news last week was great. So people know that we're secure, probably more so financially now than we have been for a long time. But you'd want to play under Paul Rowley. You'd want to be part of what this is, because players talk. It's only a small community rugby league, and they'll say, "I'm having a great time here." I didn't like it there where I was. It was, the atmosphere was bad, or this. They all come to sort. They all love it. I mean, you look at Nick Arima straight away. He's come in. He's got a smile on his face. He's loving it. His family are loving it. Nene McDonald hated it at Leeds. Loves it here. There's obviously something behind the scenes that Paul Rowley and Kurt and create in there. And the likes of, like say with Sidlow and Dixon, what they've done behind the scenes, Paul Rowley wouldn't have them hanging about if they were no good to him. Do you know what I mean? He casts players off when he doesn't like them. And we know that. He can be ruthless. So maybe it's that bond that they get behind the scenes and brings them together. I think I started listening to a podcast earlier on, but I didn't get to listen to it all. But I think it was the BBC 5 Rugby League podcast, and Cal Watkins was on it, and he said something like, "We're an odd bunch, but it works basically." You know what I mean? And it is really. They're all characters, they're all different, but there's something different there. And I think players would want to come and play for us. So I think we can attract another quality back row, no problem. Where he comes from, I don't know. Whether he's here, whether he's abroad, whatever. But I've got no worries about that. I think Paul Rowley will get the right man again, and the man that suits him, not just signing players because they're available, because perhaps, like other teams have done, just sign names, or like we did under Kukash, we're signing names, not a team. We're not getting the right parts to fit. And that's what a lot of teams get wrong. And I think Rolls just knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Kane Cust and Amir Bora, two solid professionals for me. Came in, did a decent job when they were called upon. Looking at the appearances, though, Parker, they both made 11 appearances, but they've only played 3 games since May each. So does that tell you that, we talk about obviously Dixon and Sidlow not playing, but Cust and Amir Bora haven't been in much after May. So if you're bringing someone in, you'd hope the person coming in will be more available than they were, which again gives the players who play every week that opportunity to rest. So it's going to be very interesting for me to see what Paul Rowley does transfer-wise, because he's losing 2 props, a hooker, a second row and a loose forward. So does he bring in experience again? Does he go and find Adam Sidlow Mark 2? Or does he bring in a youth, like a young developing player from the Championship who he thinks could step up, a Tyler Dupree, for example?
I think he probably would go that way. I think the experience has got us through a couple of tricky years, but now I think we can expand a little bit more now, and hopefully, I think he'd probably go the younger end. I think there's a lot of like good players leaving, good big clubs, but because of salary cap and squad size, and they're knocking about. And I think, like I say, they'd be more attracted to come to us because they know they'll get game time. They're under, a great coach. They're in a good setup. So I think that's a good thing. What I will say is, you said then they're not played much since May, which is the time the transfer window opens. When they both decided, we're both probably signed up by Hull FC as it happens. Well, is there something in that? Has Paul Rowley gone, well, you're not part of my plans. You're not staying for the future. I know Cust got a few injuries, and that's been a problem for him ever since he's been over here. Even with Wigan, he suffered. So, but it does seem that there could be some correlation between the two. That, well, you're not staying. So, but you couldn't say that because Ali Partington's not staying. So maybe I suppose he adds more to the team than the other two did. Not disrespecting him, but it'd be tougher to replace Ollie Partington than the other two. So, but yeah, again, they played the part. They had a go. I think. I mean, I saw him here last year, and I thought, I don't know if he's going to make it. I don't know if he's. And he came back this year, and Rolls gave him the 9 shirt, and he looked like he bulked up. And I thought, oh, hang on, we might. If anyone knows anything about hookers, Paul Rowley does. I just don't think he's fired. I don't think he's just been. I think he's been off a little bit. Some of his defense and discipline's been a little bit disappointing at times. I don't know if I think Rolls has probably thought, I've tried, but this one hasn't worked. It's time to mould somebody else. But I wish them all the best. They've got no problem, until they play against us. I hope the careers, just keep getting better.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see who Paul Rowley can bring in. Obviously, stadium news, new deal in the pipeline, gives us options, gives us other options which possibly Paul Rowley wouldn't have had pre-stadium deal, which is important a factor really, because we're kind of shopping out of a different catalogue when the stadium deal comes in.
Yeah, it creates a lot of opportunity for the club financially. Not overnight. It's not going to be it's not a golden ticket or anything like that. It's it's going to take. It could take 12, 18 months to build, but at least the opportunity's there. And we think if we go on a limb here and spend a little bit more than we wanted to, we know that the back end we can get that back. That's fine. So it just opens up a little bit. I think. I don't know. I don't know what Paul King's got in reserve. I don't know. What Paul Rowley wants, and I don't think Paul Rowley's the kind of. He'd love to have a bit of money, but I don't think he's the kind of coach that's going to go right. I've got some cash. I'm going to sign him because the big names or whatever. He'll only sign the right players for his squad.
Yeah, and I think for me, he'll probably go and sort of buy squad players.
Yeah.
But 8 out of 10 squad players.
Yeah.
Really. And
absolutely.
Rather than we lose 5, I think he'll bring in 7 with that extra.
Yeah.
Rather to give me 2, 7, 8 out of 10 every week squad players rather than 1 superstar. Because I think our problem throughout this season and even last season is bodies. run out of bodies, and he always kind of like sort of shrugs his shoulders when I interview him about potential people coming. He always says, "Well, if you got any money, let me know, and we'll go and get somebody." So when he does have a bit of money, I think he'll want to fluff his squad out a bit to give him the quality if injuries do hit. And I can see that happening because, like you say, Paul Rowley, he trusts his squad, and I think that's what he really wants. He really wants to be able to put a bit more meat on the squad's bones.
Yeah, and I think also you can bring in lads probably from the reserves or whatever he's never been able to do. We've got Nathan Connell now, but it's very rare we get too many sort of coming through in that way. Maybe because financially you still got to pay them. They're taking a step up. They want a Super League contract of some sort. Their agent will, so maybe that's a choice for him and all that he can boost the squad numbers with players from the reserves who can train, who can get better week in, week out. And then when they are called for, you could drop one in. It's not it's not a big thing. That step between the two is massive at the moment. But so like I say, it's opening up doors. We've got the right man in charge. There's no doubt about that. And so I hope somebody can come in and give him a check and say, spend it on what you want, mate. But Paul Rowley, I just trust Paul Rowley to do whatever he does, he's going to be right. So if he's got 50p or he's got 50 grand, he'll do what he can at the best, and he'll make sure that player fits that team.
Yeah. So, obviously, two big games this week. Parker will start with the ladies away at Sheffield in the playoff semi-final. Would be a tough game. That Sheffield are a very good side. Narrowly lost in the league campaign. Tries from Jem Myler, Sophie Morris, and Emily Bagley and Tasca Corrin. Wasn't enough, unfortunately, for Mike Grady's ladies at the time. Salford got back to 22-10 towards sort of the middle of the sort of second half, but two late tries from Sheffield took points for them. But they pushed them all away. And I think Sheffield are a good side, and I'm sure Mike Grady's ladies will have learned from that. They've developed further from that point, so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens on Sunday.
It's going to be tough, really, really tough. You were explaining to me earlier on. I'm sure you will shortly to everybody else how it's going to work and who we've got to face, and to get into this Super League, it's a massive challenge. And starting off with Sheffield, it can only be strong if we got Lee straight away. You know what I mean? Because Sheffield have been so consistent all year. But if you're going to be in that top league, you've got to be, those teams around you. That's how you got to do it. If you want to be the best, I think they say you got to beat the best. So Sheffield is certainly, the second best team in this league this season. And having to travel there on Sundays is going to be huge. I think maybe last week might have done us a favour. The Castleford game getting called off. Well, I don't think they raised the team, did they, or something? But so we've had a week off. We've got no fresh injuries going into that game. The girls will be keen and eager, and they've had extra time to train, I would have thought. They'll all be keyed up for it. But it's a huge challenge. But that's what we're in it for. This is what we've rebuilt, from being stripped of all our, quality players last season. This season could have been a write-off. We could have finished mid-table and gone nowhere. We're in the arm wrestle now. We're a couple of games away from being a Super League team, which has been the dream again for, since we started this thing up. And we have generally gone in a forward direction with these girls every season. What happened last season was nothing to do with us. That wasn't our fault. We ended up back in this league, and players saw opportunities to move on because of what they had done in a Salford shirt. So I think as the season's gone on this year, we've got better and better. A few fresh faces came in mid-season, certainly helped us, take an extra step. We've won some really big games against some good teams. So I think it's going to be tight. But yeah, you've just got to, we've got to go out and face them. And yeah, it's a shame it's away, but you can't write us off.
No, but I've said we've got a nice sort of blend of match winners, likes of Alex Simpson, Michelle Davis. You've got people who put in the hard graft, Sophie Morris, Janine McVernon, Emily Bagley. You've got players there who are willing to sort of dig deep, like they all do, really. And obviously Mike Grady, has coached this team through the process and through the journey. And this game against Sheffield is another step on the journey. Whether they are successful and they go through to the next round, which will be against Leigh in the grand final at Leigh, because Alton have withdrawn. We see that news story. So it's going to be a tough run. I think we have to take every step at a time to get to Super League. But the run to the Super League, it will be tough for our ladies because, like we said, you've got to face Leigh away in the grand final. They beat Leigh. Then they've got to beat London, who beat Cardiff Demons last week at Cardiff, 28-8, which I thought was a shock, Parker.
Yeah.
Because we saw a bit of Cardiff and we thought they were a really good team.
Yeah.
I had them in sort of grand final position. So for London to go to Cardiff and win convincingly shows how good they are.
Yeah, I think Cardiff give us a kicking in the cup, didn't they, this year? So we know how good they are. So yeah, it shows. I mean, it is a surprise that, but I don't know quite how good London are. Week to week, we don't follow them leagues at all in that way. So obviously we've been watching ours, and I see obviously a lot of the Super League via Sky, but it's going to be tough. I mean, having to play teams in leagues that you don't play against, you're not knowing how good they really are, and that's difficult. But yeah, London beating Cardiff was a massive result for them, but it just shows what the next challenge would be if you get through Sheffield and Leigh, and I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. So then we beat London at home, and then we've got to play Huddersfield, who are bottom of the Super League, at home to get into Super League. Huddersfield have played 13, lost 13, which is in our favour. But I mean, I'm wondering what's harder to get out of, the Championship or Alcatraz.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. And the thing is, you say Huddersfield have lost them all, but they played at Super League level. It's a step up from our league a lot of the time. So again, there'll be more. The bodies will be ready for it. They'll be, they'll probably play at a faster tempo than our league. So it's even then. You say they've not won a game, but in a different league, it's not the same. So I mean, if the girls do make the Super League, let's be honest, they will have earned it. They will definitely. I think we'll get an open top bus ride, because that would be some effort. But we've got to take it one step at a time. Sheffield's first. Let's get that chalked off. If we get through that, then we can worry about the next game. And I hope we do, and I hope we get a chance to go and watch the girls. If we are at Leigh, let's get down there and get behind them, because they have been fantastic again this year, and they will improve. And next year, if we don't go up this year, I think we're in a good shout next year, because we'll rebuild again. And we just getting, like you say about Mike Grady coming in, Matt Grady coming in. He was a new coach, new ideas, new ways of playing. That the girls had to get used to, the ones that were there anyway. That takes time. That doesn't just happen. So I think over the season, you've just seen this gradual rise in performances, and you just don't know, do you now?
Yeah, and I think we're coming to the business end of the season. If you are gradually rising, that's a good sign, because you can peak when you need to peak at the business end. When I think in our Championship winning season, we were brilliant all the way through, and then wobbled towards the end and lost at the end. When this time we've slowly built, gone the other way. So it'd be interesting to see whether we can go level on level on level on level 4 weeks on the spin.
Yeah,
really. But there's no pressure on them. They've done fantastic this season, and we'll go to Sheffield and see what comes out the other end, Parker.
Yeah. Like I say, it's a shame it's not a home game, that one. That would have been all right for a Sunday afternoon to go and go down and watch that. Obviously, men's team plays Saturday, so we could have all gone there, but I think Sheffield's a long way to go on a Sunday afternoon.
Paul Rowley's men face Hull FC Saturday. Huge game for us.
Massive.
With the playoff race heating up. We need to win. I know I saw something on Twitter. Somebody highlighted the Hull FC squad and said, "Can we? And we're not going to solve for this, are we?" Which basically we all know what that means, don't we? But I think after last week's performance, don't think we are, because I think we're a bit better than we have been in this situation before.
Mm.
And I think Paul Rowley's men are more tuned in to stepping up when a performance is needed.
Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? You can look at the old squad and think, oh well, they're a lot of young kids. They're not regular first teamers. I think they've only got like something like 4 or 5 players in this whole squad for this week who have got numbers that would normally start a game. They're going up to like 50 odds and things like that. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make them bad players. It doesn't make them not want to try. They're at home. They've got to say sorry to the fans for last week, because that's embarrassing. Getting 60 odd put on you by what I could consider an average Leeds team. That wasn't good enough. And Hull and Leeds, they're not best of friends, so they wouldn't have liked that. But yeah, like you say, I think we're different. The only thing that really worries me is our trips to Humberside this season have been awful. So I can only hope that we can turn that round. We don't seem to get off the coach when we get there, and that's a slight concern. Is there something in the journey? Is there something that we're not doing right? I don't know. But realistically, yes. You ask anyone in rugby league right now who wins this game, they're going to say Salford, and we need to, because last week will mean nothing. Nothing. The whole season could mean nothing if we lose this weekend, because the week after we know we go away to Wigan, who will be going all out to get their hands on the League Leaders Shield. I mean, going to Wigan at any time is not good. Their own record is just unbelievable. I think they probably lost one this year again at home. So we don't want to be relying on going there and having to get a win. This is the one what we've got to put away. We could go there and do what Salford do in the way that we do now, not the old Salford, this Salford. They go and win. They go and play well. They entertain. They score tries. They dominate in attack. But nerves can play a part, knowing that we've got to win. But last week said to me that we can handle that. We're all right. We're okay. And hopefully, I don't want them to go in there with the attitude of, yeah, have you seen this team? They conceded 60 odd last week, and they've got this and that. We've got to go into this game like we're playing Wigan in the grand final. And if we ended up scoring 80, so be it. If we win by 1, I'm not bothered. Just get the job done, win the game, and let's get out of there. And then we can go to Wigan the week after in a celebratory mood, really. We just have a party. It doesn't matter. It'll matter to the players. And Paul Rowley, they won't go there with attitude. But us as fans, we can probably go and actually enjoy a game for once. Go there without thinking, oh, if this goes wrong, what now? Last minute of the game, if we drop the ball here, they're going to score. We're going to miss out. We'll be in there. We'll be in the playoffs. It won't matter. That's what the aim was this season. And I said at the start of the season, Paul Whiteside will know that I said on here, I'd be surprised if we finished outside the bottom 3. This was last December when we didn't have a ground to play at. We had no players. Ackers had gone and Croft had gone and CO had gone. And then Burgess ended up going. I'm thinking, we've got no chance. We haven't got a big enough squad. And once again, they win on Saturday. That's more than we could have hoped for. More than we could. We all hoped to be in the playoffs, but so did the other 11 teams. And they'd spent more. They had bigger squads. They've got probably bigger fan bases. Whatever. What we're doing at the moment are miracles. And I will say, by the way, after the game on Saturday, Paul Rowley had done his interview and he was walking back around the pitch, and I reached out over the barrier to him and I just said, "You are a something miracle worker." I won't repeat the other bit, but yeah. And he said, "Thank you." He smiled, laughed, and walked off. And I don't know how he's done, and these players have done, and the coaching staff have done what they've done this year. So Saturday could be the moment where we go, that's it. Pat yourselves on the back. Don't worry about Wigan away. If you go there and they rest a few players and you go and beat them, brilliant. Put in a performance. Don't throw your hands up. You've got a game the week after. But relax. Take the pressure out. There's no pressure on. Just go and play a game of rugby. The fans can chill out. You can all get bladdered if you want. It doesn't matter. Oh, they would do anyway. But you know what I mean? It's that day off. Let's go and enjoy a game. And that's what I want. So this Saturday is massive. We can secure our place in the 6. We can make sure that the team's confident going into the playoffs, and hopefully relax that we've got a home tie.
Yeah. Well, for me, Parky, it's all about the journey, where we are on the map, because our performance and our mentality will show where we are in that journey. Because if we go to Hull and just put in a 80-minute performance, no frills, get the job done, and then you're saying go to Wigan and everyone relax. No, I want to go to Wigan and push them, because it's
No,
about levels in it. You know what I mean?
clearly I want to go there. I want to go and beat them. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying is, there's no pressure on beating them.
Yeah.
Go and play your rugby. Go and enjoy yourselves. There's no pressure on you, boys. So go out, show us what you can do. But if you don't get beat, if you don't win, nobody's lost anything. There's no crisis here. You might lose to the league leaders. They probably, the current world club champions on their own patch. That's the pressure's on them, not us. Everyone expects them to win. They need the league leaders shield. The pressure's on them. So that's why I think this week's so important, that we can have a week, 1 week in the season where we can go, let's go, put up a show. Paul Rowley won't let them take the foot off the gas. That's not how he works. He'll flog them that week. He'll make sure they're ready for that game. He'll do all the right homework like he would if it was the first game of the season or the last. But I'm just thinking that players play better when there's no pressure. Yeah. I think sometimes they can relax, they can do what they do. And maybe, who knows, we could go there and shock them.
Pressure is a privilege, Parker. If you're under pressure, it means you're doing something right.
Yeah.
That is what it is. So this week, there is pressure because we're expected to win. And we're still fighting this mentality of different Salford, different mentality.
Yeah.
And if this Paul Rowley's team just puts in a decent standard performance that, we have done through the season, which has put us in this position, we go through Hull and win. And then we go to Wigan next week. And like you said, I suppose the anxiety is not there because we're in the playoffs and we can express ourselves a little bit more. But I still think it's a test of where we are. And we'll get the answer on Saturday. And I don't think it's the be all and end all of the journey, whatever happens, because we can learn from it. And I think that's sort of Paul Rowley talked to Paul Whiteside about the journey last week. And he said he don't want it to end. So he still thinks there's more in this team.
I think there's also pressure on depending on other results. I mean, if Leigh beat Hull KR Friday, the week after they've got Saints at home. Now that's a crucial game for both of them teams. But I, at the moment, would fancy Leigh. So if Leigh win their next two, and we only win the one, the pressure's still there. We want that fourth spot. We want that home tie because we would then be travelling. There's a chance we'd be travelling to Leigh, and we know our record's like there. It's not great. So that home tie is the big thing. So the pressure is still there for the team to go and win in that way. But we're in the playoffs. That's what the target at the start of the year. Whether you're home or away, you're in that 6. There's another 6 teams in that league and a lot more in the championship below that'd love to be where we are. And we've earned that right. And that was what's so crucial about last week's win. The fact that we've earned this right this season to be in that top 6. And if we'd have lost that game last week, there's a chance we wouldn't have made the top 6. And that would hurt. That would hurt a lot because these lads have done unbelievably well this year and deserve that top 6 spot.
Under promise, over deliver. As Paul Rowley says. Yeah. We make the playoffs. A lot of people didn't get us in anywhere near the playoffs. So it's how we react to that. But we still got to beat Hull this week to get us there. And that's the important thing. It's going to be fascinating to see how we react to it, really. Especially after last week's win against Catalan. Solid performance. How much did that take out of us? Playing against a bigger team, pressure at home, that, like you say, that, relaxed moment that we beat the race to the playoffs is back in our hands. Yeah. So how much did that take out of our players coming into this game? We don't know. Spoke to Chris Dinu. We've all listened to the interview. He said, I asked him about tired bodies, and he was like, "No tired bodies here, pal. We played 13 against 13 this afternoon, so nobody's tired." So that's a message for you. The boys are keyed up, ready, focused. So it's all good signs coming out from the camp from Chris Nan.
Yeah, I don't think the players themselves would let them. The only thing that's got me recently is we seem to have a really good week followed by a poor week, a good week poor, and that's where it's been recently. But I just think that win on Saturday has given us so much confidence that we beat, a decent side. They got 3 or 4 players back in that team, including Sam Tompkins. They had key players back, and we actually, when you look at it and you watch it back, I think we just did everything perfectly. I think we just controlled them so well. They scored 2 tries. One was a breakaway, and one was a decent bit of play where he went under the post, but that they can be stopped and worked on, and you can stop that. But I think we'll go to Hull and, just do the job. The players do the job. And I don't think Paul Rowley will be like, right, you're only playing Hull, right? We can throw the ball about here because he's what not to do. I think we'll do exactly what we did on Saturday. We can play the same way, be competitive, be tough in the middle, and score the try. We score good tries when we need to. But just get this job done. This is the one game now to focus on. That's it. Nothing, doesn't matter what happens after. Doesn't matter how far we go in the playoffs. When we go to the grand final or get knocked out in the first round. This is the game that gets us into that privileged position, which, as I've said, we deserve anyway. I don't think anyone could disagree with that. And I think the job that they've all done has been unreal this year.
Yeah, prediction time, Parkett. I'll go first. Salford will get the job done on Saturday in Humberside. It will finish Hull FC 10, Salford 26.
Did you say 26?
I did.
Wow. We're very close this week.
Are we?
I've said Hull FC 12, Salford 24.
Wow.
I don't think it'll be a blow. I just think, it could be. We've proved, was it last year we went there and put 60 on them start of the season?
We did.
And that's a much better Hull FC side than this one. But they'll up their performance. They'll have to. The levels will have to go up after last week. They'll make it difficult, and anything can happen in 80 minutes. I said it last week to Paul that simple as a sending off, a sin bin, and a dodgy decision, whatever that goes on, an injury to a player can change the game or make it more difficult. But I just think we've got too much on this game. Hull have got nothing to play for except trying to not finish bottom. They've got, so again, probably makes it easier for them because the pressure's off them. We're the ones that have got to go and win there. But I fancy us, and I think anybody with any sense would. And it'd be lovely to put a score up. But I'll just settle for a 12-point win. I've got no problem. I'll settle for a 1-point win. But, I think 12, 14 points will be about right.
Yeah, be very interesting to see what happens. Before we go, Parky, celebrating 13 years since we left the Willows, Parky, yesterday, 11th of September. Some great memories watching Salford there. Obviously, you grew up there, really, with your connections to the club. Must have some fantastic memories, from the old place.
Listen, we could do a whole show on this. No, I'm just on my own. Look, like you say, I grew up there. I took my first steps there. I used to get pushed around by Di Moses in a wheelbarrow when I was a baby. It's obviously my mum worked there from 2 months after I was born. She got the job in the changing rooms doing the kits and that kind of thing. So my life was lived out there. My early life, it was my playground. I think I had the best playground in the world. I had the pitch to myself half the time when John Allroyd or whoever was groundsman after that wouldn't tell me to get off. But yeah, what a place. Listen, it had that feel of a comfy pair of slippers, didn't it? When you went there, you just felt this is home, this is where I should be. Memories, besides the own personal sort of moments in the ground of, sort of doing things in the off season, painting and doing that, helping out the groundsman and whatever else. Some of the games I've seen, some of the characters I've seen come through there, it was just. I'm looking right now at a canvas that I got for me as a wedding present of where one of the lads. It makes me happy. It was my happy place, but I think games like the Wigan Cup game where the atmosphere was something you can't recreate that. That's not something that happened. That was an organic thing that it was just there. And beating them that day was was something that you'll never forget. You know, I've watched it back God knows how many times since, and it still makes the hairs on the neck stand up. Moments like that, I've seen. You know, we had some bad times there. Let's be honest, we weren't great. We'd never seen anything like the rugby we're seeing in the last 5 years at the Willows. In our lifetime, obviously, the guys who lived through the 70s and you know would have seen, but some great days, great performances. Some that were it might have been played out in front of 2,000 people, but for me, they were magical days, magical games. I think even in that 2003 season, with when we'd been relegated, playing Lee and things like that, and playing Keighley in '96, and game, you know, it was there was it gave you a tingle, especially under the lights. It gave you something different. The smell of the place, the feel of it. But for so many games, I mean, I've not really, I can't sort of pick too many out just as one-offs, because it was every week for me it was heaven. It's just where I wanted to be. And the feeling of the shed, I mean, being in the shed was, I remember you sort of graduated, you moved into your spot, and you got the right, and then you got the right to start singing, you got the right to start a song. It was, you know, it was a graduation in the shed, and you knew that you'd made it. And it was, just a great place to be. And I still miss the old girl.
Yeah, meeting lifelong friends as well. Yeah. Going through that sort of process, like you say, of going in the shed early and graduating through the process of being in the shed and starting the songs off and all that. And yeah, you know, it was just magical, really, when you look back. I did ask our listeners their favourite memories from their time at the Willows watching Salford. Steve Kerry, ex-Salford player, he said, just playing there in front of a fantastic, loyal and tremendously vocal Salford fans, great people. CR enjoyed the Graham Holroyd drop goal to beat Wigan 31-50.
Yes.
Remember that one? Andy Lancashire beat Wigan in 1996, the Challenge Cup. Ronnie H, a centenary game against Widnes. Kenny Gill looked as though he'd never been away. Half-time, Peter Smethurst wheeled Di Moses out in a wheelbarrow. There's a story. Paul Whiteside's mate, Roy Ellaby, hammering Wigan in the Rugby League Challenge Cup. George Crompton simply loved the Willows. BV, debut of David Watkins, beat Wigan in the Challenge Cup. I've made a couple as well, my memories. Ian Watson's try against Sheffield to tie up at 22 apiece. Lost my glasses that day. Someone flipped my glasses off, sailed over the crowd at the Willows. I thought, oh, never yet to see again. Martin Afire burning off Brian Carney at Hull. Bad Friday, Cullen. Just lose forward, trying to climb into the shed and attack the fans after the Challenge Cup game. Sad memories of relegation in 2002. Sat on the 20-metre line, just thinking the world had collapsed. It's the first time I'd seen Salford get relegated. Before then, I thought we were the best team in the country, regardless of where we were in the league. So that was kind of a reality check for me. Andy Gregory's double league win, 95-96, to get us in Super League. That was another great memory. Commentated on Salford's final win at the Willows, beating Hull KR. That's a personal memory for me. Obviously, like I say, the atmospheres in the shed when likes of Leeds and Hull came to town. Different gravy back then to what we experience now. But it was, you know, spine-tingling moments. Which, you know, we all enjoyed and we all grew up on. It's different now. Salford Community Stadium, more of a family occasion, more of a family sport now. So we've all moved on. We've all just remember the memories.
I think the two games against the Aussie teams in the World Club Challenge as well, brilliant games. I know we won one, we sort of narrowly lost the other one, but the atmosphere and the event itself, you're playing on against, you know, an Aussie team, it was magical. Great time. But what something you said there about your friends, I mean, I'll say that probably 90% of the people I now consider friends I've met through at the rugby, and certainly most of them through the Willows. And one thing that CR mentioned there about the Graham Holroyd drop goal against Wigan, we won 31-30. That was the day I met my now wife. So, yeah, again through being at the Willows, it's bizarre, isn't it? When you think back and some of the memories, but yeah, I think that's always been the thing though that got me. And I kind of missed for a while at the new ground was the friends, the people. You might only see them once a week at the match, but it was like you were with them all the time. There was a bond. There was a feeling. Like you say there, we used to think we were the greatest team in the world, even though we were nothing like. Um, and it was a case of we'd have a jab at them, we'd have a go at the team or whatever, but nobody else was allowed to. And that came from the Willows. That feeling, it's ours. You don't come here. It's not yours to take. But yeah, I just love, and what I did love about the Willows was again, I mentioned this word again, but that organic kind of the way it grew, the way the stadium was. How it's developed over all them years. I mean, the shed was built in the 20s or the 30s or whatever it was, and then the north stand and the main stand being rebuilt, God knows how many times, in fires, and obviously the Willows itself, the clubhouse, which was the tavern there was my local for God knows how many years. I used to go in there, but probably not good to say this, but every night. So but the place was, it just meant so much, and yeah, it was just a real family atmosphere that we lost for a while. I think we're starting to get it a bit now at the community stadium, and hopefully with the news in the last few weeks we'll get that back. But I'll be honest, nothing will ever replace the Willows and that feeling and the smell. And it wasn't perfect. We know the toilets were an absolute farce, but listen, it did for us for what we needed.
Yeah, I've got one here talking about family. Shauna Cook on our Facebook page. The atmosphere every week, win, lose or draw, was unmatched. I also met my now fiance, and now we have 3 beautiful children. I owe everything to the Willows. It gives you a bit of a tingle, doesn't it? Because, like you say, it brought people together. And I think, like you say, new stadium, it's took a while, and it's getting there. It'll never be the Willows because time has changed, attitudes changed. We've all grown up a little bit. So it's never going to be the raucous Willows, but it's going to be something different. It's going to be something good. But we can all look back at the Willows and have our own memories of it and have that little sort of tear in your eye, remembering how good it was.
Just the atmosphere of the place, the buzz. And on a big game day, I still don't think I've been anywhere better than that. That when you knew you had a big team in town and it's a cup game or whatever, that it got to you. You felt it, and it's something that I probably haven't felt in a lot of grounds. It's certainly in modern stadiums. I don't think they have the same thing. But like I say, people look for different things these days. But that kind of that buzz and that the noise and everything about it was gritty and it was a bit grimy, but it got something. It had something. It had soul. I think that's the word I'm looking for. It had soul, and I still miss it now. And every time we go past, drive past, whatever, I still look instantly thinking, oh, there's the no, it's not. As you go past the old con club on Weeks Lane, you look up, there's the north stand, and it's somebody's house, and it's a little bit heartbreaking, but times have moved on, obviously, and we, sadly we had to move, but so many memories, so many, and I like I say, from being basically born to the day we closed it, which was a day that I won't ever forget, and I cried like a baby. I think I cried when they came out, and I cried when they went off that day. I probably cried during the game because they were that bad, but that's a different matter. I'd seen a lot of bad teams there, but it was just the soul, and it was the center of my world at that time, and probably always will be in that way. And it's made me the fan that I am. I don't think I'd be a Salford fan as much as I am if the Willows wasn't the Willows.
Yeah, and I think obviously if you take yourself out the shed. I mean, I started touching Salford North Stand with my dad, with Dave Bainbridge, Banners Mike, Leathercoat Dave, and all these characters that were just dotted around, in the away end, full of away supporters. Some fantastic sort of memories. And you still see them now knocking about. But 13 years. But like I say, we've got the Salford Community Stadium now. Hopefully a better deal.
Yeah.
We can do a bit more, club-wise. And we're on our way. We're talking about being on a journey, and
Mm.
we're on a journey now to make the Salford Community Stadium get close to the Willows. It never will be,
No,
because times
no,
are different now.
yeah,
But we can try and get
it's
close to it for the next generation.
it can feel like ours. That's the difference, and it hasn't felt like ours for all the time we've been there. I don't think we feel like you feel like a guest sometimes, but now hopefully we can put our touch on it and make it make it home for Salford again. I think that's the key. So, but yeah, long live the Willows.
Yeah. So that's the end of this week's podcast, Parker. Another great show.
Yeah,
Lots happened, lots of great interviews, lots of great chat. Obviously, the bit
yeah,
about the Willows at the end, makes you tingle, doesn't it? And that's,
yeah.
what's hopefully we've delivered that to our listeners.
Yeah, it's just a shame Paul wasn't here because I'm sure he would have been the same, and we'd probably all end up crying on each other's laptops or something. It's that bad. But yeah, no, great chat again, and once again, I will say, thanks to the listeners. It's still amazing me that people not only listen but tell you that they listen and tell you that they enjoy it, and it does. I mean, we're only human, we like being patted on the back every now and then or whatever, and it does give you a bit of a boost, I will say. But I think we'd do it if people didn't like us anyway. I think we'd still do it. But it's great when you're at the match and someone says, "Oh, I really like what you lads do," and I think I just want to say how much I appreciate it. It makes it worthwhile, even though we do it because we do it. We don't do it for pats on the back, but it's nice when you get one.
Yeah.
And and it's always nice to to meet the listeners as well, because I didn't realize how many Salford fans I didn't know. I thought I knew everybody, but clearly not.
Yeah, I'll echo what Parky says. It is great when sort of you get messages say that great podcast, really enjoyed it. Went through a period where nobody was mentioning it, and I didn't know whether we were still doing what people wanted to hear. So to get that feedback is amazing. So I'd say thanks to everybody who listens. Thanks to the Coalfield Reds who keep us going.
Yeah.
As the programs and the equipment to keep our podcast quality up, and hopefully many more podcasts to come covering our great club, Salford Devils, Parker.
Yeah, and let's hope we're doing one a couple of days before the grand final. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Although I don't know if I'll be able to speak, but yeah, that's the dream. But for as long as this season goes on, we'll keep going, and then we'll look into the future after that. But yeah, no, it's just great that everybody's there and listening.
Yeah, so big thanks for joining us on this Devil in Detail. I'm Rob Parkinson. On Facebook, Devil in Detail SRD. You can find us on X at DITDSRD. And you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify. Good luck, Reds. We'll see you on the other side.